Alright, it's time to talk about Vail, but not in the sense that you all just thought of. We're talking about Vail Mountain today, specifically all of the upgrades that were outlined in this year's Master Development Plan. The overarching question to answer is whether these proposed upgrades would actually improve the skiing experience at Vail Mountain. After all, these images still seem to pop up in every article I read about the ski industry. So what do we think? Let's go ahead and jump right into breaking down the 2024 Vail Mountain Master Development Plan. We're going to split this video into three main categories of upgrades: lifts, facilities, and terrain/snowmaking. The lifts will be a vast majority of what we'll be discussing here, however. Almost the entirety of the Vail lift fleet is slated for replacement, upgrading, and infill in this master plan, although there is very little expansion activity. We'll begin with talking about the proposed frontside lifts and gradually shift over to the back bowls and Blue Sky Basin. Let's start with Cascade Village. If you weren't aware, Cascade Village is the fourth base area at Vail, along with Golden Peak, Vail Village, and Lion's Head. Currently, the only lift out of this base is a fixed grip quad of the same name. This lift, as it currently stands, is frustrating, since it has to slow down every time someone wants to download. Given the fact that there's no green trail that leads down to Cascade Village, this happens pretty frequently. The Cascade Village lift in its current state is designed to have a ride time of 8 minutes, but often takes north of 20 due to slowdowns. Vail has proposed to replace this lift with a high-speed quad, with an extended alignment all the way to the top terminals of the current Eagle Bond Gondola and Pride Express lifts. There's also a planned mid-station that'll be placed adjacent to the bottom terminal of the existing Pride Express. If all goes according to plan, this lift will be a huge upgrade from the existing setup. This would eliminate the sole fixed grip lift at Vail and provide a very efficient ride out of Cascade Village. In addition, this lift will no longer have to slow down if someone wants to download, which is a huge positive. Next up is the Lion's Head base. The Eagle Bond Gondola is getting a revitalization with a new 12-seater gondola replacing the old 12-seater gondola. This lift is really starting to show its age. The current gondola has a capacity of 3,000 people per hour, but the cabins are rarely filled to capacity and the lift hardly spins fast enough to achieve this number. This new gondola would also get a speed boost and, along with the factors mentioned above, this will drastically increase capacity and make getting out of the base in the morning that much easier. Pride Express is expected to get a refurbishment upgrade. The existing high-speed quad will be replaced with a newer high-speed quad. Given that speed and capacity are not really issues at the moment, I feel that this project is definitely further down the pipeline. The existing Born Free lift that's adjacent to the gondola is slated to get upgraded from a high-speed quad to a high-speed 6-pack. This is definitely a much-needed upgrade, as this lift is also really starting to get up there in age and its current capacity is quite low. This capacity upgrade would also make Born Free a much more enticing alternative to the gondola. I'm hoping that the bottom terminal and lift maze will become a lot more visible so that crowds are better distributed between the gondola and Born Free. A new lift, currently denoted West Lion's Head, is proposed as a 10-person gondola infill lift. This gondola would only take you to as high up as the bottom terminal of the current Pride Express. While this is definitely going to be a huge help for real estate access, that's the only benefit. I would love to see this gondola replace Pride as well with a mid-station where the current Pride bottom terminal is, however, this course is pretty unlikely. Finally, the beginner Little Eagle lift is proposed to be upgraded from a fixed grip quad to a high-speed quad. Ski resorts across the nation are beginning to embrace detachables as the new standard for beginner areas due to their ease of loading. This upgrade will definitely provide a solid revamp to the beginner experience in this part of the mountain. I'm going to skip over Avanti for right now, but I'll be back to it in a minute. Game Creek was replaced in this decade, so it won't need anything done to it for the foreseeable future. Let's move on to the upgrades in the Mid-Vail area. Both the Wildwood and Mountaintop lifts are expected to see some much-needed improvements. Wildwood is slated to be upgraded from a high-speed quad to a high-speed 6-pack, and the existing Mountaintop 6-pack is expected to be upgraded to a high-speed 8-pack. I think both of these upgrades will be game-changing since this part of the mountain is one of the busiest and is in critical need of a capacity upgrade. While Wildwood only sees serious lines when Mountaintop is absolutely swamped, upgrading it to a 6 will definitely help overall crowd flow in this area. Mountaintop is one of the most popular lifts at the resort since it services a great groomer pod and serves as primary access to the back bowls. Upgauging it to an 8-pack will really help with lapping the runs it services and getting people to the back bowls faster. In addition, the current 6-pack is relatively new, which will leave its equipment available for reuse perhaps on Wildwood or across the rest of the Vail Resort portfolio. With all that being said, Given some of the other upgrades, getting to the back bowls is going to become easier than ever. We could see crowds at Mountaintop go down before the Mountaintop upgrade is even implemented. More on that to come. Avanti, on the other hand, will not really be affected by upgrades elsewhere, hence why upgrading it from a 6 to an 8-seater is a great decision. This is another very popular groomer pod, so a capacity boost is going to be a welcome upgrade. Avanti is also a relatively new 6-pack in good condition, so its equipment is another viable option for replacing Wildwood. Okay, now, let's go to two of the biggest projects of this master plan. First off, we have Transmontane. Transmontane is proposed to be a brand new high-speed 6-pack infill lift. Guys, this lift is going to be an absolute monster. It'll go 2/3 of the way up the front side and top out adjacent to the bottom of the first pitch of Riva Ridge. I've been waiting for another lift to be added to Vail Village since Gondola 1 is such a nightmare in the morning. This will significantly cut down lines at Gondola 1 and make Vail Village a much better place to start your day. Plus, if Gondola 1 ever goes down, this lift will be a great alternative. From the top of the lift, you'll be able to access the Avanti pod via Get Along Road and Northwoods via the Transmontane Traverse. Getting directly to Northwoods from Vail Village is going to be huge. However, this could very well be a double-edged sword. Northwoods has the potential of becoming an even bigger choke point than it currently is. In addition, the top terminal location being adjacent to Riva Ridge is a bit strange. The Transmontane catwalk cuts directly across Riva Ridge, and since most people would use this lift to get to Northwoods, this catwalk, and thus the intersection, is going to get a lot busier. This is definitely going to create a dangerous situation on the days when Riva Ridge is groomed, where advanced skiers are flying down Riva Ridge and this catwalk is chock full of people trying to get to Northwoods. Overall though, this seems like a good alternative to Gondola 1 and will definitely be a net positive. Next up is the Rivabahn upgrade. This lift is pretty underutilized as it currently stands, so I am a bit perplexed about the decision to upgrade it to an 8-seater gondola. The new lift will continue to have a mid-station at Golden Peak. From the mid-station, the lift line would extend straight to the top of Two Elk, providing the only direct access to the back bowls from the base areas, specifically China Bowl. Given this, it's possible that Rivabahn could become a much more popular uphill option than it currently is. China Bowl is by far one of Vail's most popular back bowls, and this would become the fastest way to get here. In addition, this lift would cut down lines at Northwoods, which currently serves a similar role. That being said, the Rivabahn location is a bit unintuitive to get to, so I'm still not sure how practical upgrading it is. Highline very rarely sees any lines due to its slightly hidden location and less popular terrain. I'm a bit surprised that Vail did not end up proposing to upgrade Sourdale, however. In my experience, this lift always gets swamped for two reasons. First off, it's by far the best beginner pod at the resort, and second off, it's the most practical way to the Two Elk Lodge from all back bowls lookers left of China Bowl, as catwalking across the bowl's ridge is brutal. As such, you see a lot of back bowl traffic ski down Whiskey Jack and take Sourdough up to Two Elk for lunch. Although, with the new China Bowl restaurant, which we'll talk about later on, hopefully this second reason ends up being negated. Now, let's jump over to the back bowls, where the last couple of lift projects are proposed to take place. Starting with Orient Express, I'm flabbergasted that this lift hasn't been replaced already, as it's freaking ancient. It also gets decent lines since it services 2/3 of the Blue Groomers in the back bowls, as well as the entirety of the Siberia and Mongolia bowls. It's only being upgraded to a more modern high-speed quad, and while this decision may be confusing at first, it'll make much more sense in the context of the next project. The Mongolia Express lift will be a brand new high-speed infill quad to service the Siberia and Mongolia bowls. It'll begin towards the bottom of Siberia Bowl, cut across Inner Mongolia Bowl, and finish out where the old Mongolia platter topped out, effectively replacing that lift. The current setup to reach Inner and Outer Mongolia requires a ride up this platter and a significant traverse. This lift is going to be huge in providing easy access to these remote bowls. Of course, the downside is that Siberia and Mongolia Bowl offer some great secret spots that are going to get a ton more skied out with the new lift. However, I think this lift will still be a net positive, as it redirects a lot of traffic from other back bowl lifts, especially Orient. It also negates a good chunk of the arduous Silk Road catwalk. The final lift in the back bowls that's being upgraded is Teacup Express, which will be upgraded to a 6-pack. While Teacup isn't all that old in age and the terrain it services isn't the most popular, I could not be happier about this. Teacup's lines get absolutely brutally horrendous at around 2 o'clock when people start trying to leave Blue Sky Basin and the back bowls. From Blue Sky Basin, Teacup is one of the only ways out of this area, which creates a horrendous choke point. I've had days at Vail where most lifts have a 10-minute wait, while Teacup has around a 45-minute wait during these times. This upgrade will definitely help alleviate this issue. I also really hope that the maze at Teacup is regraded a bit. When lines get really bad at Teacup, you have to sidestep up the hill to get to the start of the line. This can be absolutely brutal at the end of the day, so hopefully this is addressed somehow. It's worth noting that Sun Up, High Noon, and Sundown are all new enough and serve their terrain well enough not to warrant upgrades. The same goes for the 3 lifts over at Blue Sky Basin. Now, shifting over to facilities, there's a new China Bowl restaurant planned at the top of Teacup and Sun Up Express. This is going to be a great option. Well currently gets very overcrowded, and having the second option nearby is going to relieve it a good bit. In addition, this restaurant might also decrease some of the lines at Sourdough during lunchtime, since riders coming from the back bowls won't have to ski down Whiskey Jack and ride up the lift to access a decent food option. This is definitely going to make lapping the back bowls and stopping in for a break a lot easier. There's a new restaurant that's proposed to be situated at the top of Wildwood. This is definitely going to relieve Mid-Vail and some of the other frontside food options. This will also be a great option for people lapping Sundown Bowl and Game Creek Bowl. Both the Eagle's Nest restaurant and the 10th restaurant are slated to get upgrades. Eagle's Nest was desperately in need of an upgrade since the restaurant is about as old as the gondola itself. Finally, there's a planned umbrella bar in Mid-Vail which has the potential to be a really fun additional après option. True terrain expansions are minimal in this master plan, but there are a few planned minor additions. In the back bowls, there's a catwalk labeled 6A that leads through Shangri-La and Shangri-La Glades towards the bottom of Siberia Bowl. I don't really see the point of this addition as it'll needlessly cut into some very nice tree skiing for no real purpose. If someone can think of a purpose for this addition, leave it in the comments. Next up are some new cut runs in the Teacup Glade area. There are 3 new black trails and 1 new blue trail. On one hand, this blue trail is going to make getting to the bottom of Skyline and Teacup Expresses much easier. It effectively eliminates the need to take Sleepytime Road all the way to Orient Express, cross the bridge, and take the congested Cloud 9 trail all the way back to the bottom of 37. On the other hand, Teacup Glades is a very underrated gem of a glade area, and some will not be happy about its commercialization. Overall, I have mixed feelings about this addition. Moving over to Blue Sky Basin, we have several new cut runs, including 3 blues below Earls, which will be lappable by Skyline Express, 3 blues and 3 blacks lookers left of the Skyline pod, and 1 green, 7 blues, and 2 blacks left of Pete's. Pete's and Earls historically don't get as much utilization as Skyline, so I'm definitely hoping that adding trails in both pods makes each lift a little more appealing to guests. The Pete's expansion especially is going to be really nice and make Blue Sky Basin feel a lot bigger. Although, my favorite part about Blue Sky Basin is its backcountry-esque feel. While cutting more runs, especially in existing areas like around Skyline and Earls, will attract more people, this will take away from some of the fun of exploring the trees. We'll have to wait and see how effective these trails are in attracting guests to see if they're worth the drawback of ruining some great tree terrain. Finally, there's going to be a lot of new snowmaking on other frontside areas, such as Upper Riva Ridge, North Star, Avanti, Pickeroon, Ledges, Berries, Upper Lion's Head, and so on. These are some of the most popular areas on the mountain and will definitely be improved with a bit of extra snowmaking. There's also going to be a bit of grading done at the bottom of Teacup and China Bowl to ease traffic flow to the lifts. As I mentioned earlier, I really hope this includes making the Teacup Express queue a bit easier to enter than it currently is. Alright, so here's the questions you're all wondering. First of all, will all this actually get built out? How long will it take? And finally, what order will it go in? The first is the easiest to answer. No, it will not all actually get built out. Few master plans ever do. Many of these projects will go into effect, but not all of them. This is merely a proposal given right now's conditions, right now's technology, and right now's leadership. Those things change over time, and thus this plan will change over time. I believe Vail redoes their master plan every 10 years, and there's no chance all of this will be built out by 2034. As such, it's a safe bet to say that it won't be all built out. Now, to answer the final question, what order? In all honesty, your guess is as good as mine, but my guess is this. Orient and Siberia, I would have to imagine, will be the first. Next, I would think is at least one of the Lion's Head projects, most likely Born Free or the Gondola. After that, it's much less predictable. Transmontane, Riva Bon, West Lion's Head, Little Eagle, Wildwood, Avanti, Mountaintop, Teacup, and Cascade Village are all in play. I see the Pride replacement as pretty unlikely to occur unless the Pride project happens as a part of the West Lion's Head project. But of course, there's a reason I'm on YouTube and not in a mountainside office. The final question to answer is, will these potential upgrades actually enhance the customer experience? Yes, they will. Vail is synonymous with lift lines, even if less deservedly so than Breckenridge or even Winter Park. Those will be significantly alleviated. The terrain, snow, and facilities aren't getting massive facelifts like the lift network, but those crucial lift redevelopments will completely change Vail from what it is today. Of course, please always consider that master plans are exactly that, and are in no way, shape, or form a guarantee of what is actually going to be built. We'd love to hear what you guys think about all of these projects. Please put all your questions or thoughts down below. As always, thank you all for watching. All my love, I'm out.